tonight we finish phase 1. What's up guys, my name is Ryan, welcome to my channel. Tonight, as I just said, we are finishing, watching, and reviewing phase 1 of the MCU with the epic finale film, The Avengers. If you are new here, I am doing a series where I watch through and review all the films in the Marvel Cinematic Universe so I can do a fair ranking of all 37 films that will be at the point I finish this project. And tonight we're watching The Avengers. I'm so excited, so gonna watch the film and then give my thoughts. What's up guys, just finished the movie and oh my gosh, it's been 10 plus years since this movie came out and is still one of the best films the MCU has to offer. So here's my thoughts on The Avengers. Spoilers, by the way, guys, if you have not seen the movie. This film has almost everything a great film has or needs. I've said it in all my other MCU reviews, but I'll say it again here. The cast here is just amazing. Everyone plays their roles so well. As everyone says with this film, Marvel managed to crack the code and bring all these characters, all these franchises together and made it work. It didn't feel forced or like it was difficult at all. It just seemed seamless. The film just felt like it flowed naturally and like this was all naturally taking place. It didn't feel like anything was a bit of a stretch or anything like that. This is one of the prime examples of why the MCU is so great. This is one of probably the most fun films in the MCU. It just manages to balance everything. It is so funny, so crazy, but it takes the source material seriously. This is just a classic Avengers story. The Avengers teaming up to stop Loki. That's the basic plot of this film, and they take it seriously. The Avengers know they have to come together and stop him. He's got an army, he's trying to invade and take over the Earth, very serious thing, but the MCU managed to get that serious feel in the film and let you know this is a heavy thing, that this is a serious threat. But it's also got the lightheartedness and the fun to it. Kevin Feige is just such a genius. Like I said in my previous review, Marvel just had such a brilliant strategy, starting out with individual films for each character and then bringing them together. And then seeing the group dynamics is just so much fun. This is one of those films that is a comic book fan's dream, just seeing all these characters together in live action, interacting, fighting together, being a team, and saving the world, putting their lives on the line, and sacrificing themselves if need be. The reason this film works so well is because of that build-up in those previous films, and when all of our characters come together in this film and they're interacting and we see their different perspectives and their different backgrounds, it feels natural, feels like the dialogue these characters are saying feels like what we've seen from these characters up to this point. It feels like what they would naturally say and how they would naturally interact. It just flows so well and so natural. There's never really a moment in the film where I like wince or don't buy what I'm seeing on the screen. This film is just so satisfying. This film just does pretty much everything right. It has great action sequences that you just can't take your eyes off of, and even when it's not doing all the action and the characters are just talking to each other, that's just as fun as the action. You can't not watch it. Like, watching all these characters interact with each other and the dialogue for this film is just amazing. The film's very funny, and watching it back this time I was like, this is probably one of the funniest films in the MCU and one of the films that handled the comedy the best. Like I said, it has that balance. It never feels like it's too jokey. It knows the right time to joke, when to input a joke and make it more lighthearted, but it doesn't take away from the seriousness and the heaviness of the plot and what's going on. I love Phil Coulson fanboying over Captain America. This movie birthed a few popular memes, you know, like Captain America understanding the Wizard of Oz reference, and then Tony when he says, "That man is playing Galaga." Thought we wouldn't notice, but we did. Hilarious stuff. But my personal favorite joke would have to be when Black Widow's telling Captain America how like Loki and Thor are basically gods, and he's like, "There's only one god, ma'am," and I'm pretty sure he doesn't dress like that. That was just, oh, that was hilarious. Almost made me laugh out loud. I love the little Marvel references in this film. Captain America is famously known as the man at a time, and they say that in this film. The Avengers are the Earth's mightiest heroes, and they say that in this film. This is just such a big, important film for the MCU. Marvel needed to absolutely nail this film, and they did that. 10 plus years later, we're still seeing how important this film was and how it even is affecting things going on now in the MCU. I mean, you look at like some of the Marvel content we've been getting, and you have the monument for the Battle of New York taking place in this film. One of my personal favorite moments is when Hawkeye jumps off the roof and he's firing the arrow up, and of course we know now that Kate Bishop was just right over there looking at Hawkeye, and her love for Hawkeye, wanting to be like him, was birthed in that moment. And then, you know, recently with Thunderbolts, people are wondering, like, are we gonna get some new, where are the Avengers? Who are gonna be our new Avengers? Who's gonna protect us? And we've gotten our new Avengers. And with Loki, you know, with the TV series, one of Loki's most famous lines is like, what is it? It's like, I am burdened or granted glorious purpose or something like that. I don't remember the exact line, but I know it has something to do with glorious purpose. But like we see how he says that in the show, he says it here, and just seeing where seeing Loki here and where his storyline eventually goes. I'm so excited to see him in Doomsday. The credit scenes, you know, we get to see Thanos at the end, you know, teasing Infinity War and Endgame, you know, that big battle with Thanos is coming. And then just the Avengers enjoying shawarma together after the battle is just great to see the characters hanging out together after the victory. And you do get that sense of victory at the end. It makes you want to pump your fist in the air. You're just like, yeah. It's just a very simple film, just these heroes coming together, learning how to be a team, and putting aside their differences to protect people and save the world in the end. But probably the thing I liked best about this film is the team coming together. And one thing I find so interesting about people is their different perspectives and how we all come from different places and we grew up differently. Every single person has a different way of looking at life and the way they view the world. I think that's just so interesting. And you see that with the Avengers, especially with Captain America and Iron Man, you know, like the big two of the Infinity Saga, and just seeing how they set up where their characters go in the Infinity Saga later. Just love their dynamic. That's just something that always interests me. At first, Captain America and Tony like butt heads. They think they're very different people. The famous line from this film is, you know, take that suit of armor off and what are you? And Tony's like, genius, billionaire, playboy, philanthropist. And, you know, Tony's just cracking jokes, and Captain America and Steve is like, do you take anything seriously? And then he says, you're not the type to make the sacrifice play. You only fight for yourself. But then come the end of the film, Tony goes through the portal and risks, you know, dying and being stuck on the other side when the portal closes and not making it through. He puts his life on the line. He makes that sacrifice play. And both of them put their lives on the line. And I think they start to see that maybe they're a bit more alike than they think. Captain America literally comes from a different time and place. The world is very different 70 years later. Seeing him come to terms with how the world is now and just learning to adjust. Cap also says that, you know, when Tony thinks that Nick Fury is keeping something from them, Captain America's like, we should just follow orders. And Tony says, yeah, following's not really my style. I just love seeing their different worldviews and how they look at life and situations differently. And I think Thor's perspective is very interesting as well, because to all the other Avengers, Loki is just this threat, but for Thor it's a bit different. There's an added layer to it because Loki and Thor are brothers. They grew up together, and I love how Thor is trying to get Loki to change and like repent and get him to stop this foolish mission, getting him to try and give up this foolish desire to rule and get him to come back home. I just love to see the care that Thor has for his brother, while also knowing that he needs to take him down if, you know, he becomes more of a threat. And Loki's plan plays out. I've said it many times, I just love stories of people with different perspectives, that have different backgrounds, they grew up differently, different ways of looking at the world and coming together and just discussing and seeing their different perspectives, but ultimately, if need be, putting aside their differences and respecting and loving each other and doing what they need to do to save and help people despite their differences. That's why this is just such a great movie. The Avengers, great conclusion to Phase 1. Really, I don't have any major issues or gripes with the film. I didn't really notice any lapses in logic or anything that I didn't think worked or made sense. I'm gonna give it a 9 out of 10 just because it was nothing like emotionally powerful, but just everything else done so well. It's a very fun film. It's a feel-good film. It gives you that sense of victory. Just a great, great film. But with all that said, thank you guys for watching my review. Please do like and subscribe if you enjoy my content, and I would love and appreciate your support in helping me put godly content out there in the world. If you are new here, please join me on this journey through the MCU. You can go back and watch all my previous MCU reviews. I actually just recently made a playlist of all my Marvel or MCU videos. I'll leave that link to the playlist down below in the description. But please join me on this journey through all the MCU films, and hopefully you'll stick around for my ranking of all the films when I finish this project. Y'all have a wonderful day, afternoon, evening, night, whatever time it is when you're watching this video, and I'll see y'all later. Y'all have a good one, guys.